Welcome back to Breakfast and Bullets. I really appreciate you tuning in, especially since you've already seen how long this video is and you chose to be here anyway, so thank you very much for that. Starting off with a simple breakfast at home of 3 over-easy eggs and 4 slices of honey wheat toast. Now, I broke the yolk on my second egg, but my dog was very thankful because I ended up giving it to him. This is a really simple breakfast, but if you make your eggs right, it is absolutely delicious. Now, of course, I've got to have some strong black coffee, so I'm doing a pour-over brew of Death Wish coffee. And because I like it extra strong, I run what I've already brewed through the filter again, straight into my cup. This gives me a lovely, velvety, but rich and strong brew. And before you say anything, yes, I am one of those guys that sops up the runny yolk with his toast. I'm completely unapologetic because it is delicious. Today we're taking a look at a pistol that's been many months coming to me. I bought this way earlier on in the year and it's finally getting to me. This is a Ruger SR1911 in stainless steel finish, satin. It comes with one 7-round magazine and one 8-round magazine, both Ruger branded. And the engraving was done by Historical Armory. It's been commemoratively engraved for the deployment that I went on with a Kentucky National Guard unit to the Middle East for Operation Inherent Resolve and Operation Spartan Shield. The engraving is all beautifully done. It is a laser engraving. It is not hand engraving, of course. This would be a bit too complicated for somebody to do by hand, I think, but it came out looking beautiful. The pistol is rather smooth. It's a little stiff on the recoil spring there, but it's got a really crisp trigger. It comes about 4 pounds by my guess. We'll take a measuring of that later on, but it really is a beautiful pistol. There's only one firearm in my collection that I will not shoot. This is not that gun. I put up a couple simple targets. This one just has 6 bullseyes, so I have something to aim at. This one is actually going to be used to measure the accuracy of the pistol. So I measured out approximately 5 yards, just so I have a good baseline for calculating the grouping. I've got 10 rounds loaded up in a Chip McCormick Power Mag, and I'm trying to be as accurate as possible. After that second shot is when I realized this prefers a 6 o'clock hold, so I'm aiming at the bottom of that white diamond. Clearly this pistol is more than capable of the accuracy. That white diamond is 1 inch across. It shoots very smoothly, except for one little hang up there, which I have to blame on the ammo. Speaking of the ammo, this is some discounted 230 grain full metal jacket that I got from AIM Surplus. It had been water damaged and it said to use at your own risk. Well, I took the risk. Instead of just mag dumping, I figured I should do something at least kind of practical. So I went with a typical up close and personal engagement shoot. And then just a few reasonable mag dumps, not just dumping into nowhere, but actually aiming at something. And then I followed that up with some kind of sloppy 1R1s. I kind of got the hang of it, but still a little fiddly when you've got a single stack magazine with no magwell. And then of course some double taps because shooting once is silly. And yeah, you can John Wick chamber check it, as well as closing the slide. This is a 10-round Pro Mag that I've had forever. They are very tightly fitted, and some 1911s simply will not feed properly out of them, but this one took it like a champ. Magazine didn't drop free, but it fed perfectly.
This is breakfast and bullets, so we're going to shoot at an old frying pan.
We're coming up on the singular malfunction that I had, and it didn't really catch it on camera, but the round tipped straight up out of the magazine, so I just had to dump it, and then the next round had a little bit of trouble feeding into the chamber, but slight little tap rack, and that fixed it.
Obviously, a frying pan is not going to stop 45 ACP, despite how happy it is. It rips right through this. Yeah. I don't think I can cook with this anymore. But I got another one.
I wanted to try shooting at some cast iron because of how brittle it's supposed to be, but I was very surprised by the result.
I mean, yeah, it just blows it right out. It doesn't leave like a indentation like on the other skillet. This is just a hole, and it broke out the pieces behind it.
So, let's see what I can do to make it shatter.
I'm genuinely surprised that it didn't just shatter the pan. With how brittle cast iron is supposed to be, I really thought that this would just break all apart as soon as I shot it. But amazingly, it held together. Now, it did just blow out those pieces where rounds impacted, but I really thought the whole thing would just crack like an egg. The one hiccup I've had has been with this Chip McCormick Power Mag. Now, I think these are probably the best 1911 magazines you can get. And it didn't look like it was ammo related because the round just tipped straight up and didn't want to feed in. So I'm going to run this one again. I've got it fully loaded. I've got one in the chamber, and I'm just going to dump it and see what happens. I got a little too fast for the trigger there. I wasn't letting it reset, but no problem with the magazine. It fed just fine. So, weird fluke.
The pistol is beautiful and it shoots equally beautifully. I've only got some slight discoloration around the muzzle on the outside. Now obviously there's some fouling on the inside, but it looks great and it shoots great and I could not be happier with it. So let's head to the bench.
So I'm back home from the range. We can see there's some discoloration at the muzzle, but that's about it. At least externally. I know there's more on the inside, but we'll get there. Let's get it disassembled and check out how she looks. Oh, made by Hogue. Obviously there's some fouling, so we'll talk about things while we clean that up. Little lore about me. I wear a white undershirt every single day, so when those get a little too worn out, I just convert those into cleaning rags. It appears to have a very good barrel in it. Accuracy was pretty good. We're going to talk accuracy here in a minute because I do have the test target. So we'll talk about that here in a bit. But the barrel seems of good quality. The one malfunction I had Now let me start off by saying it did seem to be a magazine issue, but then it cleared itself rather quickly because I mag dumped out of that mag shortly thereafter. So I'm inclined to think it was not just the magazine. So because this is based on a Ruger SR1911, it's got a few quirks that Ruger is responsible for, such as a loaded chamber indicator on the hood, which I don't dislike. It's not a bad thing. I can't say that I ever really wanted a loaded chamber indicator on my 1911, but it's a thing that exists. It's not going to be pristine ever again because I have fired it, and I'm okay with that. It just has to look very nice, which it will. The trigger seems fitted very well. I'm seeing minimal wear patterns. There's just a little bit of scarring here from the magazine, if you can see that. There we go. And not so much on the other side. A little bit of a wear mark here. So the trigger bow seems fitted very well. Nice finish on the sear. I can see some tiny little wear marks where it engages with the hammer. But it looks like good clean engagement, no complaints there. I appreciate that they use a straight mainspring housing, a la 1911, not M1911A1. I do prefer a straight mainspring housing for my own comfort. And I believe this one's made out of aluminum. So that's kind of nice, which means that this is an anodized finish on here. This is not phosphating. This is an anodization. Good fitment on the grip safety. I didn't feel any pinching or poking when firing. Thumb safety is very positive. Good engagement. Clicks into and out of place very nicely. No complaints. I do like that it's extended. I do enjoy an extended thumb safety on a 1911. The firing pin, no complaints there. This is, I don't know if they did this for lightning or what, but it does have a slightly different profile from a regular GI style 1911. And this actually could be so that they only make one type of firing pin for Series 70 and Series 80. This one is a Series 70. But that might be just one less part that they have to make if they can share a firing pin between Series 70 and Series 80. For those who don't know, a Series 80 1911 has a firing pin block that sits right about here. Series 70s do not have that. I like the hammer. This nice two-tone silver and black with the skeletonization. That's pretty nice. I didn't even mention, I like the skeletonization on the trigger too. Not really a whole lot of wear marks on the sear engagement surface there. Tiny little stripes along the edge, so that tells me it's got really good engagement with the sear. The recoil spring is heavy as all get out, which isn't bad when shooting. It makes for a pretty smooth shooting experience, but it is rather heavy on the pull. The frame is good, also stainless steel. There was an aluminum frame version of this pistol available with a rail on the front, but it was a two-tone black anodized frame with silver slide, and I didn't really, it didn't rustle my jimmies, if you know what I mean. And for anybody wondering what I'm cleaning with here, it is in a CLP bottle, but this is not CLP. This is something we call pickle juice. It is a solvent used in our cleaning baths at the military installation that I sometimes frequent. It is good for breaking up fouling and carbon deposits. And there she is, all back together, looking pretty. So let's talk about the engraving some, because I'd like to go into a little bit more detail. So on the right grip panel, we have Bravo Battery, 1st of the 623rd Field Artillery Regiment with their emblem. Now, I'm an artilleryman. have been for my entire military career, and it is increasingly uncommon for artillery to be deployed and actually do their job as artillerymen. I was put in a very fortunate situation where I could volunteer to go with Bravo Battery of the 1st and 623rd, and I went with them for several months as part of Operation Inherent Resolve and Operation Spartan Shield. This is the emblem for Operation Spartan Shield, and this is the emblem for Operation Inherent Resolve. Bravo Battery is known as the Renegade Battery, so they are the Renegades. And the Kentucky National Guard as a whole are considered Morgan's men. And the motto for this battery is "Seize the Opportunity." Deployment lasted from 2023 into 2024. And my call sign on this deployment was Hangman. There is a story behind that I will not be sharing, but I was Hangman for that deployment, and so this pistol is emblazoned with it. As we saw, these grips are made by Hogue. They're very nice wooden grips. The engravings were all done by Historical Armory. They did an excellent job. I am well pleased with their work. And speaking of their work, let's talk about Ruger for a minute. They make a fine 1911. It is probably a little bit better than what you pay for. Now, this was considerably more expensive because of the custom work, but Ruger makes a fantastic 1911. I don't have any complaints with any of them. So let's take a look here. I've got my trigger gauge. We are at 0. 4.32 pounds. 4.32 pounds. 4.4 pounds. 4.7 pounds. 4.72 pounds. So the 4.5 to 4 3/4 pound range. It's a very, very crisp trigger. I do want to adjust this though. Very nice. Yeah, that'll work. So that is my commemoratively engraved Ruger SR1911 in stainless steel. It looks beautiful. It shoots wonderfully. Speaking of, we need to talk about accuracy. So this group was taken at 5 yards. And we're looking at an extreme spread from center to center of 1.4 inches. We'd have to look at the footage, but I think this was one of the first shots, or maybe this was the first shot. But if we count that as a flyer, then that group reduces down to 0.88 inches. Yeah, 0.88 inches, which is pretty darn good accuracy. You can see I'm drilling the same hole here. This is 10 shots. Outstanding accuracy. It does prefer a 6 o'clock hold, so the sights should be at the bottom of whatever you're aiming at. Pretty darn good. I'm happy with that, especially using the ammo that I had. But yeah, there it is. Looks great, feels great, shoots great.